I brought my non-ionizing radiation meter because of this massive cell tower, which is right out front of the Whole Foods. I wasn't surprised to find out that the level of radiation, both inside the entire grocery store wow. Okay. The meter, it's off the charts radiation.
So it's immeasurable right now by this meter. It's immeasurable
right now. It can't even come down to a level that it can measure it. But this is how it is inside. This is how it is definitely at this housing co-op, and this is how it is in this Whole Foods parking lot. The level of radiation is so high that it is immeasurable by my device. And let's take a look at this tower here. Can we zoom in? A lot of people don't even know what this tower is, but it's a cell tower. Back up a little bit. It's a cell tower that's emitting radiation. Oh, there it is. Okay, you catching that?
Yeah.
So radiation levels that are so high that they're immeasurable by this device. So people that are shopping inside of this Whole Foods grocery store, mind you, okay, let's go ahead and take a walk really, really quick. Let's go ahead and go inside.
Okay, so
I wouldn't want to be a cashier here. I wouldn't want to be a regular shopper.
Okay.
The levels of radiation inside this grocery store are toxic. Take a look. Come on outside. Look at the tower. People are bathing in this radiation. Cut.
A 47-foot cell tower right in your yard.
Can you hear me now? It's that infamous line we've all said before at one time or another. And now there's a potential solution. Cell phone companies are upgrading to a bigger bandwidth, 5G cell service. To do that, they have to install massive cell phone towers across central Indiana, and more specifically, in your neighborhoods.
They're approximately 50 feet tall, typically have decorative lighting on them.
The cell phone towers are a controversial topic in Fishers right now. Citywide cellular companies like Verizon have proposed 400 towers, some of those right in front of people's houses.
You're being showered with radiation at the grocery store. You might say to yourself, this is probably safe. Maxing out the meter is probably safe. Having a giant death tower at the mall, at the schools, in front of your house is probably safe. But think again, ladies and gentlemen, these eugenics programs are predicated on the general stupidity of the public. This is why they're dumbing down people in public schools, the Common Core. They know that dumb people are easier to manipulate than people that are intelligent. And the doctrine of Dr. Evil is that if you're stupid enough, dumb enough to get irradiated by these death towers and this wireless technology, that you don't deserve to stick around. Intelligent people aren't spending their days on their phones. Intelligent people aren't letting their kids spend their days on the computers and on the PlayStations and the like, because they know it's bad for you. But the entire system is predicated on your ignorance and on your stupidity. That's why it's important to understand what you're getting dosed with. Ladies and gentlemen, here we've got some exclusive footage from the GQ Electronics Lab testing out the EMF 390, the RF browser function with different waveforms. Now, you heard in the introductory video that this guy's meter was going off the charts. He couldn't measure what was going on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if we can bring back this video.
I brought my non-ionizing radiation meter.
So you see that thing? That's like Inspector Gadget. You're showing up with a huge device, and all of the accessories that he has right there will run you about $1,000. And his meter only goes up to 20 milliwatts, as does, you know, the other tri-field meters out there. They only go to about 20 milliwatts. So after that, you have no idea what you're getting dosed with. I mean, it's bad enough, right? 20 milliwatts is 20,000 times ambient radiation, ladies and gentlemen. But the EMF 390 can capture up to 10,000 milliwatts. That's the highest we've seen with it, maybe more, but it certainly doesn't cap out at 20 milliwatts like most of the other meters, and only at a fraction of the price. We strongly recommend that you get one and understand what you're getting dosed with there. 264, that's a nice dose. I feel bad for these people testing out this meter. I see a lot of people actually walking around in 200-300 milliwatt environments, you know, recording, but they should be running like Fukushima out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got all sorts of news to cover. Of course, the COVID pandemic continues. The genocide continues, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got more footage of that. If we can.
How awful the events that happened to them were. And we can see trace
That was actually the wrong video. That was an anti-pedophile rally out there in Ireland, and the anti-fascists show up protesting the anti-pedophile protest, and you know, it almost turned into the zombie apocalypse there. It was actually kind of wild to see everybody, you know, turn their heads at the same time and just basically, you know, surround the Luciferian clan. But you can see, you know, nice people there protesting the pedophiles. All of a sudden, here comes the chaos. There they are. Now, where's the other video? We had some spectacular video of... it must be here.
The roads aren't blocked off, so people are just walking down the middle of the road, and cars have to stop for the people that are walking down the street. No, 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 no. I gotta get out of here. Right now, because people are jumping on cars and getting in fights, and the police are not here. The police are nowhere right now.
It looks like this is the scene in every city right now. Pure madness, pure rabies. This virus was cut with rabies as well as HIV, ladies and gentlemen, and they allowed it to come in. We'll get into that, the pandemic, but it's looking worse and worse out there. We even have footage of the president, you know, kind of donning the face mask like Cobra Commander. It was really kind of chilling to see. And of course, we've got other footage of, you know, some of these Luciferian districts. This is what they want to basically social engineer in your town. they want crackheads everywhere because crackheads are easy to manipulate. You know, these people aren't going to fight back. They're desperate for water. They're desperate for food. And soon they'll be desperate for the vaccine just for the privilege of being able to get on the bus or to hang out at the library. Ooh, look at that one. Any case, ladies and gentlemen, the doses of radiation out there keep going up. We warn people, we try to warn people as much as we can, and that's why, you know, we've been looking at meters more and more, because it's really the only way to measure what your dose is. It's kind of like being in Fukushima or Chernobyl, and of course all of this radiation has an impact on your biology, on your immune system, on your overall health. And the more you get dosed, the worse it is. I mean, the cancer rates are through the roof, ladies and gentlemen. We hear about more and more every day, and it's, you know, it's sad and it's preventable. And people just aren't being warned about the dangers of this radiation. Now, you might think that because it doesn't light you up like a Christmas tree, that it's safe. You know, everybody tells you on television that this technology is safe. You know, especially the big telecom lobbyists and advocates are always on the television saying, oh yeah, this is just fine. But you don't necessarily need to, you know, basically touch a piece of paper with the flame of a lighter to light it up. How many of you have tried setting things on fire without the flame actually touching the object? You don't actually need to you know, set something on fire for it to cause damage. You know, just being close enough to these things is enough to basically start a fire in your body, if you will, a chain reaction. And that's what happens during an explosion. That's what happens during, you know, a gas explosion. The flames don't necessarily touch all of the gas particles or molecules at the same time. It's just a domino effect of heat that basically causes everything to explode. And in any case, that's just a physical reaction. You know, fire, combustion reactions are a physical reaction. They're not a chemical reaction. And, you know, what these death towers are pumping out doesn't have to be a flamethrower to cause damage. It can be, you know, hidden irradiation. Looks like the video guy's on vacation. We want to keep warning people about these 60 gigahertz transmitters, these siren-looking things. And if you see one in a neighborhood near you, pay attention to it, because these things, you know, basically burn the oxygen right out of the air. According to the telecom's own papers, they use 60 gigahertz mesh networks because oxygen dampens the distance this radiation can go. And of course, you know, given that this radiation damages the immune system, it makes people more susceptible to, you know, the COVID and any other virus, any other flu. You know, back in the 90s, the average deaths during a flu season were about 15, 20,000. And, you know, 20 years later, 30 years later, it's nearly 100,000 every flu season. And now with the COVID, it's a couple 100,000 more. And, you know, some people are like, well, you know, the COVID doesn't exist. And, you know, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe cancer doesn't exist. Maybe HIV doesn't exist. But until we can prove, you know, without any reasonable doubt that it doesn't exist, I think we should consider that it might exist and that these death towers make it worse. And it's not just the death towers, it's the street lamps, it's the smart meters, it's your cell phone, it's your laptop, it's your router. You know, your whole world is contaminated by this radiation, permanently contaminated. And, you know, if people were more concerned about their environment, they would want a smaller, you know, EMF footprint out there in their city. You know, we could just have these certain hotspot locations where people could, you know, basically receive and, you know, make calls or whatever. but instead they want to blanket the entire planet with this radiation. And that's really not necessary. It's not because somebody else wants to make a call right next to you that you have to get dosed with that radiation. And you can, you can run away from somebody making a phone call, which is, the other end of the death hour, but you can't run away from these death hours, and you can't run away from this, 60 gigahertz mesh network out there. But you can avoid the worst of it by getting a meter. And look, it might seem, real self-serving that we're, selling meters, but we've chosen to do so because we feel like it's going to make a huge difference in your life. And there isn't a person out there that's bought this meter that has any regrets. We haven't had anybody come back and go, oh man, I'm so sorry I got this. In fact, it's become a form of entertainment, driving around with the meter and finding out just how bad your city is, finding out how bad your schools are. And it's important that you understand what you're getting dosed with. I think the video guy is definitely on vacation, of course. Now, you can check out the EMF 390 on Amazon, and it retails for $148 there. You can see it's got, basically 5 stars, 97%, approval ratings, and you can check out all of the comments and everything. We sell it for $129 through our affiliate program with GQ Electronics. You get it directly from the manufacturer. You can check out all of the specs on our website, and the links will be in the video description on the ScrewTube channel, or on the Facebook page. You can find that the link there on our Facebook page. But you can find out everything you need to know, what you should expect as far as readings, normal readings, when it comes to safety, and some of the gadgets that you may have at home. And when you click on the order now, that brings you straight to GQ Electronics, based in Seattle, and you order directly from them. Now, it ships worldwide. You get a 1-year warranty, excellent customer service, wonderful feedback from people, and that's why we've chosen to, basically promote this one. It blows away the competition. So many more functions, a much bigger range in terms of bandwidth and power density. And so it really just, blows the competition away. And look, it looks like, a massive eugenics program out there, like they're trying to kill you. They're not taking any prisoners, and all of the stupid people are going to eat it first. And the best thing you can do for yourselves right now is just really to measure and limit your dosage. You might not be able to eliminate it fully from your life, but every little bit helps. And, you can go from an extreme case to a moderate case when it comes to exposure in, just a few days after, learning more about your terrain. And look, it's not easy, but, you'll feel better. It makes a difference. There's a lot of people out there that have felt the negative effects of EMF poisoning. And even in the government's own papers, they talk about non-thermal effects having severe biological impacts. And, it compromises the immune system, has effects on chromosomes, DNA, causes cancer, and the like. But, here's the white papers from the Air Force report: immune system degradation and suppression of immune response. So this is, a real cause for concern. And, the thing with silent weapons is that you're not going to hear a gunshot. You're not going to hear an explosion. And instead of bullets, they're using radiation. And instead of guns, they're using computers and networks. And instead of, a sniper, they're using, somebody on a keyboard that pushes, buttons. And all of these death hours are weaponized. You have to wonder, is your sector scheduled for elimination? And, by allowing these death hours to, stand freely in your neighborhoods and your towns, you're just asking for irradiation. You're just asking for genocide. And of course, these puppet masters, your local politicians, your state politicians, your federal politicians, they're not going to want to take down these death hours. And, talking about this may seem like the same old thing, ladies and gentlemen, but every new person that we can reach out there on, the negative effects of these death towers, the better it is, because they're coming to a neighborhood near you. They could be like a couple miles out of town. They could build like, super towers like, like television broadcast towers, and that would work just as well. They could build a 1,500-foot death tower 10 miles outside of town, and you'd get pretty decent reception. But the fact that they got to put them, everywhere you go now, look at these things. Mega death towers, super high-powered transmitters, and it's radiation, right? It's not like, free hot dogs or free chips and dip or something like that. This is radiation. And they can call it non-ionizing. They can, they can doll it up and put lipstick on it and call it, wonderful and the like, but it's not. And the sheeple out there, the stupid people out there really can't see past the fact that, if I don't have a cell tower, then I don't have a cell phone that works. But, people really need to do their own research and understand why we're focusing on these death towers, so often. And again, we could be covering any topic and we could be promoting anything. Every news channel sells you something. There's no freedom without capitalism, no capitalism without freedom, ladies and gentlemen. So, we could be selling you, magic pills or t-shirts or whatever. But, if you get a meter, it'll change your life. It'll make you a better person, a healthier person. And it may save, the life of somebody in your family, ladies and gentlemen. But big breaking news, you're being showered with radiation everywhere you go right now, ladies and gentlemen. And knowing is half the battle. If you don't have a meter, you're probably going to want to hang around the mall or, the bar or wherever that you might go. But when you bring in the meter and you see what people are getting dosed with, you'll think twice. And you might think, oh, look, the meter is going to make you antisocial. Well, most of you are antisocial anyways. And, at the end of the day, it's the hermit that's going to survive this outbreak, to be quite honest with you. Does that mean you have to be a hermit? No. But you certainly can limit your exposure, whether it be to COVID or whether it be to this radiation. The less you're exposed to it, the better it is. And look, for the time being, everything else is really kind of like old news anyways. Right now what they're reporting in the mainstream media, no herd immunity, no long-term immunity to this virus, etc., etc. We're all doomed, we're all screwed. Look, that's old news. We've been covering that for months. And what's going to be interesting to see from here on out is the devolution of society due to the rabies side of this virus. And little by little, it's going to look more and more like the zombie apocalypse out there, ladies and gentlemen. And that'll be news worth covering. And, we're keeping an eye on anything and everything that might be COVID, rabies related. But that's certainly a real thing. And it's certainly going to get more interesting out there. But undoubtedly, high exposure to EMF is a risk factor that you should avoid if you can. It's only going to make the symptoms worse, and it's only going to promote a higher virus load, which is directly proportional to the symptoms. Now, once again, where did this virus come from, ladies and gentlemen?
That was fooling around with these viruses. Prohibited. Despite that, Dr. Fauci gave $3.7 million to the Wuhan laboratory. We paid for it. We paid for the damn virus that's killing us.
We're in a live exercise here to get this right.
There you go. No doubts that this came from a lab. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I think we got some of that right now. Video guys on vacation, soon to be unemployed.
Thing that gives you high confidence that it originated in that Wuhan lab.
Martha, there's enormous evidence that that's where this began.
this is not a natural virus. This is an artificial event. And this is part of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, another 9/11. They've infected the entire world with a bioweapon. That is a war crime. And everybody should be looking at disease management. And obviously, you know, EMF exposure is one risk factor that you can avoid and minimize if you understand where the dangers are and what the research says. 1 milliwatt per meter squared is 1,000 times ambient radiation. And 1 milliwatt these days is nothing. You know, you're getting blasted with like 3,000 milliwatts on your, you know, with your phones, easy, if not more, which is literally, you know, 3 million times ambient radiation. And when you see people put that, you know, put a phone to their heads, you really have to wonder, you know, what is it that they're thinking out there, ladies and gentlemen. So limit your exposure. And, you know, we've been talking about some of the other effects of this virus, and you should check out the video description for more on that. Just a reminder again, ladies and gentlemen, we're currently on the farm and we've got some geese in the background. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but in any case, Amazon sells the EMF 390 for $148. Check out the reviews, check out what people are saying about it, and you can save yourself $20 by ordering it from us direct from the manufacturer, and you'll get it in a couple days. So they're real swift on delivery and the like. Excellent meter, durable. You can drop it. I wouldn't throw it against the wall, but you can drop it. It'll stick around, no problem. It's probably more solid than an iPhone, to be honest with you. And well worth the money. Change your life, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing the hidden dangers around you, not just EMF but static fields as well. So it's an excellent meter. Check out the functions, check out what it can do, and you know, you'll be the best advocate for EMF safety with a meter like this. You can go around showing people, and that's where, you know, the real damage is done. You know, all the people that bought a meter, you know, and there's hundreds of you out there, many hundreds of you, you know, all of you have become like super advocates for EMF safety. And the idea that, you know, people from this audience are going around their neighborhoods and their communities telling people what they know, showing them, you know, this meter, you know, truly is a success story. And, you know, while these things aren't very expensive compared to, you know, the other meters out there, it's not about the money. It's about warning people about this genocide. And once people realize what's really going on, you know, it'll start looking like this. All of a sudden, here comes the crowd. Oh, you want to put a death tower in our town, do you? Oh, you want to vaccinate us, do you? Here, take this. And that's what needs to happen. And until people reach that boiling point, we're going to continue to be victimized by this system. So, in any case, we'll have to leave it there for this broadcasting from the farm for the time being. Preparing for dark winter, we advise everybody to do the same by looking at the quote-unquote official numbers on television. You know another lockdown is coming. And, you know, how real are those numbers, given that the testing doesn't work, is another story. But you can tell where they're going with their story, ladies and gentlemen. And so, you know, prepare for dark winter. And you know, lowering your dose is probably one of the best ways that you can prepare for a healthier winter, to say the least. And, you know, safety first, as they say, ladies and gentlemen. But look, you know, this is a community that cares about each other, and, you know, we don't have meters for, you know, the fluoride or the GMOs or the pesticides or the vaccines or the chemtrails. This is really the only thing that you can, you know, purchase out there that will limit one of your risk factors. And, you know, it's kind of sad thinking that people are being super careful when it comes to organic food and pesticides and the like, you know, filtering their water. They live out in the country, clean air, and they carry, you know, a cell phone in their back pocket, or, you know, they got a router right next to their workstation and the like, or they got the earbuds. You know, that's really sad to see. It's It's really sad to see young people walking around with earbuds just to say, it's just unreal. But if they had a meter, they'd think twice. And, you may have, somebody in your household that's like a digital addict, always on their phone. I think, that's the big problem with this up and coming generation, always on their phones. They're totally missing out. And, remember back in the days when you were going out and, how many of you just stood around a table on your phones? But any case, they might think twice about being a digital addict if they knew what they were getting dosed with. And I think, it may not be effective for everybody, but, some young people may respond to the idea of being irradiated like Fukushima out there. And that might be the very best talking point, very best chance for you to kind of, get your children back. And, it's bad enough with modern society the way it is, as far as children today being wards of the state while, parents slave away just to make ends meet. And, it's kind of like, the household has become just a place of perfect strangers, if you will. But, this may get them back. It may get your life back. It may get your household back. And instead of being on, the computer, the laptop, the phone all the time, they might be running around with the meter, like showing people how bad it is out there. And that's how tidal waves begin. That's how domino effects begin. And look, if we can have one victory over this next year or two, it should be, stopping this death tower grid. Because not only is it irradiating you, but it's going to be the communications backbone for Terminators, Robocops, drone highways, the Matrix, the works. If we can stop the 5G, the 6G, we can stop the Robocops, ladies and gentlemen. And so it's bigger than just, public safety. This is helping with the, enslavement of society, if you will, helping to slow down the enslavements, helping to slow down the coming assimilation. Look at all this cabling. It's like burning tires, ladies and gentlemen. That's what goes up first, according to the experts. Just squirt a little something there. You know what I mean? And whoosh, there it goes. So, look, that's the way activism works, according to, all those people out there. And in any case, you need to see the radiation for yourself, but you can see this setup here. This is like a weaponized setup. Think of your home sound system or like, a professional sound system, right? They don't have power like this going into their speakers. Think of how many megawatts of power. I mean, this is like, it looks like a time machine. It looks like it comes from a different planet here to, juice you, electrocute you. And, now you've got like 3 of these things per parking lot. It's insane. Do you really need 3 death towers like this in your neighborhood? And they're going to be putting 50-foot death towers in your neighborhood. So you might laugh and whatever at us, selling meters and the like, but these things can stop, these death towers. If everybody in your community is aware of what they're getting dosed with, if you get a couple hundred of these per town, people with meters per town running around, warning everybody, like Paul Revere, we can make a difference out there. And so, you might be tired of 5G episodes, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try and find new 5G related stories, 5 days a week, really, because if we can stop the 5G, we can stop the Matrix. We can stop what's coming next. And, we can't put the COVID back in the bottle, but we can stop these death towers from landing on everybody's street corner if we act now, if we act swiftly, if we act decisively. And, once, we win this battle, we'll find something else to talk about. But this is a battle we can win more than anything because, people don't want a 50-foot death tower parked in their front yard. And that's exactly what's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what the news reports are saying right now. If we can find that for you again. Here we go.
A 47-foot cell tower right in your yard.
Can you hear me now? It's that infamous line we've all said before at one time or another.
Can you hear me now? Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to get a meter. It doesn't have to be the EMF 390, but this is the least expensive on the market, and it actually blows away the competition. You would think it would be the other way around, but you know, as this meter becomes more and more of a household name, it'll probably go up in price. But get them now while they're still relatively inexpensive, because undoubtedly they'll shoot up to $200 as soon as everybody wants one. That's the way the economy works these days. But you don't get nearly half the functions with a $200-300 meter like you do with this EMF 390, and it's got functions that you only find with a $20,000 meter. So this is really a steal, and it'll blow your mind as far as what you can pick up with it. Up to 10 gigahertz, up to at least 10,000 milliwatts. We should say 10 watts per meter squared. But it goes all the way up to the FCC limits, and that's something you don't get with most of the other meters out there. And that's a spec that you should really check out. What's the max bandwidth, and what's the max power range. And you'll see with the other meters, it's like 20 milliwatts and maybe 0 to 2.5 gigahertz or 0 to 4 or 5 gigahertz. But the EMF 390 goes up to 10 gigahertz. And here's some more exclusive footage from the GQ Labs comparing the tri-field meter, which retails for $200, and the EMF 390. Now the tri-field is a sexy meter too, don't get me wrong, but it maxes out at 20 milliwatts, and the range is a little less as far as the bandwidth. So it's more expensive. It functions, it's more limited in terms of functions and range. But look, the EMF 390 fits in your pocket. It's discreet, and it's affordable. And you might think $100 is pretty expensive for a gadget like this, but literally it's the minimum. It's the very least expensive one out there. The El Cheapo from Home Depot for $20 doesn't do it. So it only picks up static fields. This will show you exactly what's going on the pulsed EMF spectrum, and it's just an excellent meter. And again, we can't talk about this enough, because especially with our community, you guys are people that are probably worth saving. I mean, I can't vouch for each and every one of you, but most of you that I get to interact with, either in the chats or when people call in, or outside of the studio, I mean, you people are worth saving for the most part, and this meter will help you. Now, this won't protect you from GMOs or fluoride or other things, but this radiation makes all of that much worse due to magnetically assisted transfection. And it's really because we care about you. Now, a lot of you have gotten this meter, and we don't expect you to get another one unless you want to get one as a gift for someone. But for those of you that haven't gotten one, I know you're dreaming about it. I was dreaming about it. When I first saw the EMF 390 in just like some kind of random video, I'd never seen it before. I'd seen all of them. And I was like, what is this thing? And it, at the time it was 109. I was like, oh man, it's too good to be true. So I called them up. I'm like, what's your scam, man? And the wizards over there were just like, what are you talking about? So, and they fulfilled pretty much all of my skepticism. I was like, send me a video comparing all of the meters out there to your meter. I want to make sure, it works. It works. It's sexy. It's beautiful. Here you're looking at it in the tri-field mode, and you drive around and you can pick up all the hidden death towers and we can go on and on all day, but I guarantee it'll change your life. It'll be a new source of entertainment, and it'll help your activism out there. And you need to be a superhero in your town. And if I can send you all out there, going door to door, wherever you can, talking about the radiation and showing people with a meter like this, I mean, it'll make a difference. Maybe not on day one, but you'd be surprised by day 10 how much things can change. And I've seen that plenty of times in the shows where we start talking about an idea and everybody's like, oh, forget it, blah blah blah, and then a couple days later they're like telling me like, I'd never heard it ever. I'd never heard about it ever. And it's like, I know exactly where you got that from. I love it when people do that. I'll talk to them and they'll tell me stuff that we talked about on the show like a couple days ago. I'm like, dude, we just talked about that. What do you what's going on? But, this is the way it goes, man. So it doesn't matter, who says it, as long as it's out there. No army can stop an idea whose time has come. And, we don't need a plaque out there that says STFN was here or that Ron Johnson was here. But we know that this community has left its mark. I mean, we've reached over 1 billion people literally over the past few years, and the world will never be the same. Everybody's talking about death towers. Everybody's talking about plandemic. Everybody's talking about Pizzagate, Pedogate, and the like. It's still out there. And, they can shut it down. They can censor people, but, it's too late now. It's way past the threshold for going mainstream. It's mainstream now, bitches. I mean, you should check out our website, stfnreport.com. I mean, you've even got young people now talking about Hillary for prison, how they were Democrats, how they loved Hillary. And, they got all the look of the, typical youngster these days. And, look, I mean, things may flip around. You just gotta keep at it. But these death towers, are a priority. And I think the best way that we can attack these death towers, essentially, as a community, is by getting a meter in everybody's hands. And you'll never look at these death towers the same at all once you realize what you're getting dosed with, ladies and gentlemen. And you'll be thinking about shielding options. And we're testing, but for the time being, nothing is really easy 100%. But we'd like to get, some kind of like EMF body armor out there for when people go on, road trips and they have to go, drive by, a series of these death towers to go to the grocery store or, to go to work or something like that. So we're looking into, ways to provide shielding options. But, right now what's out there is, super expensive. You look at some of the, silver cloth mesh kind of fabrics out there, and it can run you like $100 a square yard. If you want to do a little canopy for your bed or something like that, like mosquito netting, you could be looking at like $2 or $3 grand. So for the time being, the cheapest form of shielding is aluminum foil. Works really well as Mylar. It's like the shiny stuff the balloons are made of. So, whatever reflects light will reflect this radiation as well. So, that's kind of a tip out there. And it works remarkably well. Doesn't necessarily stop everything depending on the source, but, it can reduce your exposure by 80-90% in a lot of cases. So it's another story. Nobody really wants aluminum foil wallpaper, so it'd be nice if there was kind of like wallpaper that was easy to apply, look cool on one side and was shiny on the other. So we're looking to develop products like that. We think it's going to be needed in the future as the radiation levels go up. But you can't even begin to fight this war if you can't even measure what you're being exposed to. So we're going to continue on talking about death towers for a little while, but I'm sure that as things begin to devolve in society, we'll be covering some big events. We can tell that there's something in the works right now. We just kind of got slammed on our networks on Fakebook and ScrewTube. So usually when they're censoring on both platforms at the same time, there's something that's about to happen. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Check out all the latest news on stfnreport.com. We'll have to do a summary of the news and catch up on everything that's over there. But lately we've been preparing for dark winter, and it's not as easy as you might think. Everybody's scrambling for their own little house on the prairie, if you will. So we'll keep you updated on that if you're interested, and feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, Stranger Than Fiction News. Be sure to say hi to Bella, our administrator on the Fakebook channel, STFN Reloaded. Appreciate that. She's at the heart of the lockdown in Australia, and they've surrounded a city and cut it off from the rest of the world, Melbourne, and they've cut off an entire state, Victoria, as well, cut it off from the rest of the country, and it's really becoming draconian. And I think they're beta testing for, you know, a similar kind of thing in other countries. So we'll keep an eye out on that, but be sure to say hi to our Australian crowd. They're going through quite a bit right now. So, and I think we'll get there as well. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.